Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online Series 7 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we are trying out a super cool team featuring Blaziken and Bisharp. This was a combination that we saw a little bit of towards the end of VGC 2018, and it's back for Series 7. This team was built by a player called Alex. I've linked his Twitter in the description below. There is also a rental code, as you can see, for this team, and a paste. All of that is in the description below as well, so thank you to Alex for this team. And I wanted to feature it just because I think Blaziken is a really interesting option in the metagame. The idea behind Blaziken and Bisharp is that basically Blaziken obviously can just attack first most of the time after a speed boost, and Bisharp has Assurance, so what you're able to do is get chip damage off with something like a Max Knuckle, give Bisharp an attack increase, and then a +1 Assurance hopefully will just knock out whatever you are doubling up into. So Blaziken and Bisharp is a really scary duo because, you know, obviously the main way to stop Blaziken is to typically intimidate it or lower its attack through, say, like a Max Wormwind, but Bisharp thrives off of those decreases because of Defiance. So that's already a really cool combination, but to round out the team, there's Misty Seed Zapdos, Expert Belt Tapu Fini with Ice Beam, which I think is really cool, Choice Scarf Landorus, and Yache Berry Amoonguss. So definitely a bunch of Pokemon here that are relatively standard when you look at them, but in terms of the actual movesets, they have some unique surprises. It's funny because Choice Scarf Landorus was really common, obviously, before in 2013, for example, or 2015, but in this format, Assault Vest is a pretty common pick just because a lot of players like the Dynamax Landers. With this team, though, you have a lot of great max options, obviously Blaziken being the main one, but Zapdos and Tapu Fini are potential options as well, so Landorus with the Scarf here just gives you a little bit more utility. Yache on Amoonguss is really good, especially for some of those really powerful Ice-type attacks coming out from, for example, Glastrier or Metagross. So, yeah. Once again, thank you to Alex for the team, and let's get into today's episode. Question of the day, I want to know, with us using Blaziken, what do you think the worst fully evolved starter evolution is? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoy, please show support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. I saw this team and I was like, I have to try out Blaziken just because it's not a Pokemon that I've seen anyone use in Series 7 yet, nor have I really gone up against it. So as soon as I saw, this team, I was like, I have to, give it a try. And I think, Blaziken is definitely, viable. I actually brought Blaziken to the 2015 World Championships, and, back then, Blaziken was interesting because with Hidden Power Ice being in the or Hidden Power in general being in the game, I had like a Overheat, Close Combat, HP Ice kind of set with Life Orb, and so you can actually one-shot a lot of the most common picks in the metagame with that set back in 2015, like Landorus, for example, like Aegislash, just to name a couple. So, yeah. Alright, first game of the day, Duraludon. Okay, that's a familiar face. It's funny seeing Landorus, Thundurus, and Amoonguss, just because I've been playing against these Pokemon for like almost a decade now. And now they've returned to Sword and Shield, so that's neat. One interesting thing here is my opponent can potentially paralyze the Blaziken, but I doubt your Thunder Wave. Like, every Thundurus right now really is the offensive kind of Defiance set, so be surprised if, there was Thunder Wave on the opposing side here. So, what do I want to lead? What do I want to lead? There are a lot of interesting combinations here. Part of me thinks we could just go with Blaziken stuff immediately. Oh, the problem with Blaziken, though, is if I lead it into, like, Blaziken Bisharp into an Urshifu seems kind of scary. Another thing to note is that there's no Protect on the Tapu Fini, so a Thundurus lead could be very scary. Maybe it's Amoonguss, actually. Like, Amoonguss Blaziken seems actually pretty solid with Bisharp in the back. And as the last one, Tapu Fini, meh. Well, actually, this Tapu Fini does have Ice Beam. The alternative is the Zapdos here. I guess Zapdos is probably a little bit better because it matches up better against my opponent's Tapu Fini. But, I don't know. This Tapu Fini set is really cool. It's got Taunt, too, which I guess maybe could have helped out against the opposing Amoonguss. So, maybe that was the right Pokemon to bring, but I don't know how likely my opponent's going to bring Amoonguss into a matchup where they're going up against a Blaziken, a Fini, and an opposing Amoonguss, so let's see. Either way, I think this lead, I put on pressure with Spore immediately. It's going to be Thundurus and Amoonguss, okay. So I do end up bringing the Amoonguss, but that's fine. I mean, if I'm my opponent, what do I go for here? Max Airstream, Amoonguss? We don't have Koba, unfortunately, so that's not great. I'm down to switch out into Zapdos here. Dynamax and Flare. I mean, my opponent could just, like, Airstream into Blaziken too, right? I guess I should consider that possibility. Huh. Yeah, that's actually definitely a possibility. I wish we had Sash or Koba right now, but unfortunately it's neither. I'm going out into Zapdos and protecting turn 1. I don't know if that's the smartest play, though, because an Airstream will still do a lot to Blaziken if I protect. Plus, they outspeed me next turn anyway, which means I would be forced to switch out the Blaziken, basically. But Thundurus protects. Okay, well, that actually works out really well for us, because now I get the speed boost, which is a really big deal, unless you went for Spore into the Amoonguss line. If you did that, then props to you. But yeah, it's Spore into Blaziken, which makes me think they're either Aqua Berry or Focus Sash. I think both of those would be likely possibilities. Here, I'm down a Heat Wave, Dynamax, and Flare, I think. Actually, should I do that? Because you can just Rage Powder and Airstream into the Blaziken now. Which is kind of a pain. That is kind of a pain. Like, I could max Blaziken, but it's not really that good against this Thundurus right now. It's really not. If I'm my opponent, I would Rage Powder Max Airstream. So, like, I want a Heat Wave and switch out into Bisharp. Yeah, leading Blaziken into Thundurus probably wasn't the smartest idea here, but what else could I do? Because, like, Landorus doesn't really work out for me. Tapu Fini doesn't really work out for me. Okay, they switch out Thundurus, huh? And into Landorus, so they just activated Defiant. Okay. Well, the Max Flare Heat Wave play actually would have worked out really nicely here, but I'll also take this. Although I am probably eating up a Spore here. Unless, I mean, I guess Amoonguss could Protect here, actually, and if they go for Protect, that's really good news for us. But no Protect. We miss Heat Wave on Amoonguss. That's a little unfortunate. It's not great. Get the Heat Wave on the Landorus. They are going to commit the Spore into the Zapdos, though. Okay, well, maybe that's not so bad then, because I at least stick around with Bisharp for a little bit longer, but it's a big miss onto Amoonguss. It's a little unfortunate. Max Flare Heat Wave honestly would have just won it for us there, but I think, you know, Rage Powder Max Airstream into Blaziken was a really safe play. I'm actually kind of surprised my opponent didn't go for that, but guess it ends up being okay. Man, are you Focus Sash on this thing? They're playing like it is. I don't have Tapu Fini in the back. I kind of want to just Heat Wave. Well, if you're, what do you do if you're my opponent? U-turn? I would U-turn into Zapdos, Spore into Bisharp to get Thundurus back out. I guess you could EQ. You could even Dynamax, but that would be kind of interesting. Maybe I'm down to just Heat Wave, and I think we should Protect here. Just because I can't have both my Pokemon asleep right now. That'd be really bad. Ooh, they commit the Dynamax to Landorus. Okay. Is that a problem? Actually, it probably is. Landorus does really well into us, doesn't it? Yeah, it actually does do really well into us. Now, I have that Sucker Punch, and, like, we'll see what Landorus goes for here. Do you go for the Rock Fall into Zapdos? Because that'd be a really strong option. I mean, if you go for that, though, I do get the free switch into Blaziken. Okay, so we get the Protect off. They went for Rage Powder. Okay. Well, let's see if they Quake or not here. That's why I really wanted to hit that Heat Wave earlier. They do go for Quake, okay. How do I beat this? This Amoonguss is causing me really big problems right now. I think we basically need to hope to wake up a Zapdos, because I could actually Dynamax this Zapdos. Okay, take our first turn of sleep here. Follow me, Rage Powder, Max Quake again is super safe here if you're my opponent. So I think I'm just going to try to Heat Wave here and switch out into the Amoonguss. Unfortunately, Yache really works against us in this one instead of having a Sash or a Koba Berry. Koba would have been really nice into this matchup specifically, but it's fine. But I don't know, like Tapu Fini would have been good against these two, but it would have been really bad against the Thundurus Amoonguss lead, so I don't regret not leading that. And you can't lead Landorus into a Defiant Thundurus, because if you activate Defiant, you kind of just lose. Because they can just run out, like out of control with Max Airstream. So, I mean, the only play I feel like I could have made differently in this matchup thus far is just the Max Flare Heat Wave play that I mentioned about, but I don't know how I feel about that. Especially because if the Thundurus does stay in like I expected it to, that's really bad news for us. Because then we just lose Blaziken, right? We don't want that. Huh. They go for the Rock Fall into Zapdos. Okay. It's a little frustrating. Wow, actually one-shots. That's pretty impressive. However, this does mean I get a free switch in into Blaziken now. So, this actually might not be terrible. This might not be terrible, because with Blaziken out, I can just go for Rage Powder, Max Flare. Although, I think if you're my opponent, you always go for the... You protect Amoonguss, right? And you Airstream my Amoonguss. Actually, you would Airstream my Blaziken. But I don't want to risk it here, so... I mean, yeah, Protect Airstream here is actually super duper obvious, right? There's no way Amoonguss doesn't Protect here. So can I capitalize off that? I don't know if I can. Okay, I'm gonna... Like, the safest play here is to just Max Flare and Rage Powder, because I'm not KOing Landorus with a Max Flare anyway. If they Max Quake for some reason instead of Max Airstreaming, or if they don't have Max Airstream for some reason, then, you know, that would be really good. Amoonguss, I think, is, you know, obviously likely to Protect here. Oh. That's an interesting option. Huh. I didn't think they needed to go for that. Well, Tapu Fini's their last one, okay. Interesting. I actually think that benefits us more than anything, because, like, Landorus was putting on so much offensive pressure, so I've been kind of surprised by some of these switches, but I guess we'll take it. The problem is, though, however, that Bisharp has taken a fair amount of damage already at this point, so if I switch it in, yeah, I mean, it's vulnerable, but, like, how does my opponent deal with the Amoonguss now, right? If you're not going for a... And maybe that's because they didn't have Max Flying there. That would make sense to me. Because then it's like... I don't really see much damage output against Amoonguss in this late game. And if Amoonguss goes down for my opponents in here, they're in trouble. But yeah, they go for the Protect. That's not surprising. However, I still think it's better to Flare here anyway. I mean, this sets up the Sun, so now I can just consistently launch Max Flares into that slot. I guess if you're my opponent, you probably have to stall out Blaziken's Dynamax. You have to switch out the Amoonguss. I could have gone for a Knuckle there, I guess, but I didn't think it'd be worth it. Okay, so get the Flare through Protect. Change the weather. No more Chip. Max Flare into the Amoonguss this next turn is always super safe. I think that'll knock out anything coming in, too, with the Sun being up. So... I think if you're my opponent, you switch out the Amoonguss. I could. Now I have Max Lightning, but... Max Flare into... We have Sludge Bomb. We have Sludge Bomb. Actually, Amoonguss is completely useless here. So I would read it. I would honestly make the read and think it switches out here, but... Even if it switches and you intimidate us, like, it's still fine, right? I think it's fine to just Flare and Sludge Bomb the Tapu Fini. I'm content going for that. Yeah, I think Blaziken's in a really good offensive position right now because my opponent does not have Dynamax anymore. They switch out Fini into Landorus? I mean, your Amoonguss shouldn't survive this with the Sun being up, right? Unless it's really that bulky. I mean, I did do less damage through the Flare than I expected, but that was also with Sun not being up. Because, like, if this KOs, I think my opponent just loses. They went for Rage Powder. Okay, interesting. Oh, I guess I didn't go for Spore onto the Landorus, so maybe not. Like, but I wasn't going to Spore in that position. Yeah, I mean, this should KO. Yeah, okay. Because, like, now my opponent does not have redirection support anymore. They still have a Fini, but, like, Landorus... Amoonguss actually does decent damage with Sludge Bomb into things right now. Poison would be huge here. Nice. You just got your will your way into these things. So that's 2 turns of Max. We have Max Lightning left on the Blaziken. Blaziken is super speedy right now. And I'm just going to turn the lamp on real quick. One more turn of Dynamax on our end. I could see Fini coming back. I wonder if they were trying to bait a Max Lightning there. If so, that's really, really big brain. But getting Amoonguss out of the way is very good for us here. Fini comes back out. To be honest, I think the play is to just Flare into the Landorus slot and go for a Sludge Bomb onto the Tapu Fini. The reason being is because I don't think Fini is a threat to Amoonguss at all. Amoonguss will win the 1v1 against this most of the time. I mean, you could be Calm Mind, obviously, but Amoonguss normally walls Tapu Fini unless they have Taunt or Ice Beam, which ironically, you know, we actually have on both of those moves on this Tapu Fini set. But I think Blaziken's in a pretty good spot right now. While it's intimidated, it's not that concerning, and Tapu Fini protects. Okay, that's fine, because we should KO the Landorus now, so it's going to be a 3v2. And obviously Terrain's going to eventually expire too. And while, yes, we are intimidated on the Blaziken's end, like, Thunduruses normally are really frail, so I would think a Life Orb Flare Blitz in Sun, even at -1, still KOs Thundurus. Like, Thundurus is normally just going to be max speed, max attack. And the other nice thing about Blaziken is, after just staying on the field for 2 turns, you pretty much outspeed everything in the format. So, obviously the subsequent speed boosts don't really matter too much, but we're in good shape right now, I think. The safest play here... Well, you could fly with the Thundurus. Muddy Water or Moonblast shouldn't KO this thing. Like, I think it's fine to just Flare Blitz the Thundurus. And Sludge Bomb Tapu Fini. I'd be really surprised if Flare Blitz didn't KO Thundurus in Sun here. Thundurus could protect though, right? If Thundurus protected, what would my opponent need here? Because the thing is, like, Amoonguss would still be in a pretty favorable position. Okay, they do go for the protect. So it probably would have been better for me to protect with the Blaziken there. Actually, I think that's always the correct play. I made this because I didn't think they'd be able to KO us. Yeah, it's just Muddy Water in Sun, so I'm pretty sure we should survive this. But they could get an accuracy drop, which is scary. Actually does a lot to Blaziken. I mean, Blaziken's not a very bulky Pokemon. Do they get an accuracy drop? Oh, that was a crit. Okay, that explains it. No accuracy drop, though. That's the main thing, so that's good. Oh, that's really good damage from Sludge Bomb, too. Nice. I wonder if my opponent tries to go for the double protect here. Even if they get it, though, I think it's still a Flare Blitz Sludge Bomb here. Yeah, I think it's probably better to always protect with my Blaziken there, because I don't think Thundurus really does anything. They failed the double, so, fortunate. Obviously, that rolls in our favor, but it's a decent chance to survive, and get it there. So, okay, Flare Blitz does one-shot there, which is what I thought. And I feel like the main thing is that my opponent just wouldn't have any offense against this Amoonguss in the late game. Like, Thundurus and Tapu Fini don't do any damage into an Amoonguss. Thundurus probably has Fly in that position, but then Amoonguss can just protect on any given turn that you fly, right? Plus, I have Sucker Punch Bisharp in the back, too. So, they needed an accuracy drop, basically, as... you get an accuracy drop onto the Amoonguss, but there's no way Fini can deal with Amoonguss right now, so we should be good. But this was a really interesting first game. I thought that this actually was not a super good matchup. It's funny, too, because a lot of these Pokemon were legal in 2015, which is, when I used Blaziken in a tournament. And part of the reason I liked Blaziken so much that year was because, yeah, you could overheat Thundurus, you could hit a Power Ice Landorus, but no HP Ice here makes me a little sad. But we can just Iron Head and Sludge Bomb now, it should be good. So, Blaziken was the MVP of this game for sure. I don't think I played it super well, but I also did not have the opportunity to just safely Dynamax it into a potential... Like, without knowing the item on Amoonguss, that's really critical, because, like, if it's Focus Sash, it survives and just KOs us, that's, like, really bad news. Or, sorry, not the KOs us, Spores us, that's really bad news. I guess Fini could maybe pull it off here with a Billion Muddy Water. Okay, they go for Combine. Well, that actually will seal up the game, because Iron Head should just KO it this next turn. I think you need to KO Bisharp here to have a chance. Well, I guess Sludge Bomb could miss. And actually, the correct play there is to click Spore over Sludge Bomb. It doesn't make much of a difference. We actually end up critting there, but I think Bisharp's Iron Head would have just finished it off anyway. So, yeah, the only, like, I think the one play I could have made better in this endgame was against that Thundurus when I, figured it was going to protect, because I don't think Thundurus would do anything even if it didn't protect in that position. I guess the worst case is if you went for Fly. Actually, Fly in that position would be really interesting. If you just go for Fly outright into Amoonguss. I don't know if Amoonguss can survive a Fly. I should probably do that damage calc, actually, but it's not a calc I really know super well, because it's not like we've seen Fly being used too much previously. Thundurus' role in this format has completely changed. Back in the day, you're obviously... Well, in 2011, actually, it first started off as just like a Hyper Offense Pokemon, but from the special side. So, for example, like Electric Gem, Thunderbolt, Grass Knot, Hidden Power, occasionally Dark Pulse, Protect, for example. And then after Ray Rizzo won Worlds in 2011, Thundurus then became, he introduced, the idea of bulky Thundurus, basically. So Ray won Worlds with, I think it was, Charty Thundurus, Thunder Wave, just a really, really bulky variant designed to disrupt the opposing team. And then, that kind of set stuck around for a couple years. And so now Thundurus in this format is completely different. No more kind of Prankster T-Wave spam. Instead, it is this defiant hyper-offense Dynamax threat. So, fun history lesson there for you guys. Okay, this next team is interesting because obviously you've got Regieleki, everything else is pretty mid-tier speed to slow, other than the Urshifu, which is, decently fast. I Oh, I actually don't... Can Scarf Landorus... It's not Jolly either. I wonder if Regieleki is EV to survive the Scarf Landorus. That'd be really interesting. I mean, regardless though, my opponent doesn't have any ground resists. So like... they have Trick Room from Porygon too. That part is scary. And they can get around my Spores. I mean, I could go Blaziken Bisharp, actually. Yeah, honestly, I kind of want to just go with the offense immediately. Try it out. Oh, Tapu Fini has Taunt here. That's pretty interesting in this matchup. I think Fini Amoonguss. Despite not... Like, the thing about Landorus is, yeah, they don't have any ground resist, but how much damage do I actually do with Earthquake? Especially against Pokemon like Porygon, Urshifu, Fini. It's still not a bad bring, but given that they have a Porygon, if Trick Room goes up, Landorus is completely useless, whereas I think, like, Blaziken Bisharp here puts on enough pressure to deny Trick Room immediately against Porygon, because turn 1 we can max Knuckle Assurance into that slot. That's pretty nice. So let's see what they lead. Porygon and Metagross. That's really bad news for them, I think. Like, I think Blaziken Bisharp demolishes this, right? Trace? Huh. That's interesting. I don't know. I feel like it's super safe to Dynamax Knuckle into Assurance here. I guess my only question is, does a Max Quake from Metagross one-shot Dynamax Blaziken? I would think we survive with, like, 20%-ish or so. That's my intuition, but... I don't know my Dynamax Mega Blaziken, not Mega Blaziken, just regular Blaziken calcs at all. So, yeah, guess we're about to find out. But this is a really favorable lead for us, honestly. And this is what I mean, right? Even if I led Landorus here, like, yeah, I get Earthquake and a Metagross, but it's probably Weakness Policy. Then Trick Room can go up. What do we do from there? I have to deny the Trick Room with this team. So we've been using a lot of kind of, like, hyper-offensive teams lately, but I love playing hyper-offense, personally, and I think a lot of the teams we've been using lately have been really well-constructed as well. The awkward thing here, if you're Metagross, is you are staring down 2 Pokemon that hit you for super effective damage. And my opponent does commit the Dynamax, so, I mean, good call on their end. I think my play is foolproof unless they have Protect Porygon. But even if you have Protect, as long as Metagross does not one-shot the Blaziken, we're fine. Maybe it does. And I guess you could have Max Psychic, actually. Oh, I didn't think about that. Just because so few Metagrosses are running it nowadays, but that's a possibility. Yeah, they don't max guard either. So I could have doubled up on a Metagross and just like nuked it immediately, but I think I have to deny the Trick Room here turn 1. But this is the cool combination of Blaziken Bisharp now with Dynamax Blaziken, right? You can not only get an attack boost, but also get that chip damage, or not even chip damage, just damage, so that Assurance goes off. Okay, so now Trick Room is denied at least 100%, but the question is, what does Metagross go for? Can you one-shot Blaziken? Because if not, you're in a lot of trouble here. Okay, it's just Max Quakes, not Max Psychic, so that's a little bit less damage. No same type attack bonus. Okay. Yeah, I said what, like 20 to 30%? 10 to 20%? I don't remember. That's definitely less than that. Either way, though, we survive. And that's because it's Life Orb Metagross. Okay, so my intuition was actually pretty good there. I'm happy about that. Because if you weren't Life Orb, if you're the standard weakness policy set, then it would have done pretty much exactly what I was expecting there. So, okay. Happy to have actually been able to call that correctly. Urshifu comes in, though. That's a problem, because you can obviously have Cryo Sucker Punch here into Blaziken. That's a big problem. Then I think the correct play is to switch Blaziken out into... I'm probably going to Max Quake. Amoonguss seems fine. I don't think we KO the Metagross, so I'm content to just Iron Head the Urshifu here. Because we have Focus Sash, so even if you... like close combat here into Bisharp will survive and get an Iron Head off in return. Maybe it would have been better to not Dynamax Blaziken turn 1, just go Superpower Assurance. I don't know about that one though. I could Protect Bisharp here, but the problem is if my opponent reads and they go for Sucker Punch. Okay, nice, perfect. Good. I feel like you have to though, right? Because otherwise Blaziken's just gonna Max Flare you and that's a disaster. They go Max Quake, probably into Bisharp here. Yep. Okay. So what do I want to do this next turn? If we KO the Urshifu, there's no more priority for my opponent's end, so that's what I'm going for right now, right? This Metagross with Life Orb is really interesting. I expect Fini in the back, maybe Instant. I think Fini's more likely though. The Yache actually is really big here, right? Because, I mean, you don't have Max Psychic, so actually, I think it's maybe safe to just Spore. Spore and Sucker Punch. I guess my opponent could Sucker Punch the Bisharp here. That's really risky, though. Okay, they go Detect. That's a pretty good play. Go Steel Spike into Amoonguss. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I get the Spore off, though, which is obviously very good against Metagross. And next turn, I think it's very safe to just Rage Powder Iron Head into Urshifu. Because if Urshifu goes down, then you don't have a way to Sucker Punch the Blaziken, which means it gets another attack off. And I think that's a big deal. Yeah, I'm down to just go Rage Powder Iron Head here. It's pretty obvious, but I think it's fine to play obvious in this position, given that Bisharp has an attack boost. What's in the back, potentially? Incineroar, Porygon 2, or not Porygon 2, Incineroar, Regieleki, and Fini. Now, Fini feels like the most likely out of those three, but I could see it being Incineroar as well. Switch on Metagross, interesting. Into, is that Regieleki? Nope, it's Fini, okay. Cool. That's even better for us, to be honest, because now you don't even burn a turn of sleep with the Metagross. So, I'll take that. It is a shame that we couldn't stick around with Blaziken for much longer, though. Yeah, so they go Wicked Blow, but that's fine. Now I bring in the Blaziken. Blaziken will guaranteed KO the Metagross, and I have Fini as my last one, correct? Yeah. Actually, because I have Fini as my last one, I want to quickly double check how fast the Bisharp is relative to the Tapu Fini here. Or sorry, the Bisharp. Yeah, 122. This is 112. Wait, how fast is Fini here? 112, 122. Okay, I think we can go Blaziken then. Is it safer to go Fini? If I go Fini, what would I do? No, I think it's safer to go Blaziken. Because with Blaziken, actually, I can just double up onto the Tapu Fini, right? With... Oh, wait, no, I can't. Because, I mean, Assurance doesn't actually do that much damage. Well, I could Thunder Punch Iron Head it. That's what I was thinking here. I mean, I don't think they expect the Thunder Punch. So Thunder Punch into +1 Iron Head here. Alternatively, maybe better to just go for the KO onto the Metagross, honestly, and then force the 2v1 against Tapu Fini. Because I think you have to attack with Fini here. It is actually pretty scary. I mean, I'm leaning towards... I just don't know if it can survive a Thunder Punch plus an Iron Head, but if it can, that's really problematic. Because then you pick up a double KO. And then I can't KO the Metagross, whereas right now I have a guaranteed KO onto Metagross with Flare Blitz. Okay, I'm actually going to Protect and Flare Blitz then. Let's just get Metagross out of the way and force this to be a 2v1 position. Okay. Ah, they Protect. Even better. What I was worried about there was like a potential Calm Mind, for example, but yeah, this works. Although, I mean, once again, like if I doubled up onto Fini there, that also could have worked, but the thing is, by protecting there, they burn a turn of my Asleep on Metagross. Okay, so now it's my Fini. Wish I had Zapdos now. That would be a guaranteed dub, but it's fine. It is interesting, though. This team is pretty hyper-offensive, but like these games aren't going super quickly because you do have some decently bulky stuff, and you are often vying for positioning. It's not like just like the last team we were using where you press the go button every time on turn 1. So we have Fini here in the back. There's no way you can Calm Mind here. If you Calm Mind, you would just instantly lose, so I think I'm content to just Moonblast Iron Head here. The reason is, yeah, if you Calm Mind, it's like that end game of the last one, right? Like, it just means that I get another +1 Iron Head off. Okay, so we are faster. They could flinch or get a special attack drop here. And we do get the special attack drop. I think that should seal it up more or less. And they flinch. They don't have Berry either, so... yeah, there's nothing my opponent could have done there to have won, I think. Especially, like, I think for them to have had a shot here in this endgame, they needed one of the bulky berries. So, like, even if you don't flinch and I don't get the special attack drop, you'd have to Muddy Water, hit both, and hope for an accuracy drop onto Fini, and then basically hope for multiple misses in a row. Because I'm assuming it was Calm Mind leftovers there in the end game. So, yeah. you can see that that's the scary thing about leading Blaziken. There are a lot of things that hit it for super effective damage, so we didn't get too much out of our Dynamax in this game, but to be honest, all I needed was the KO into Porygon. That's why I led Blaziken Bisharp, so that was totally worth it for us here in the end. So, yeah, we'll take it. But Life Orb Metagross is definitely an interesting pick, you know, and it makes sense in the context of that team. There isn't much to self-activate a weakness policy, so Life Orb is obviously a really good item just to get a lot of damage off immediately. Now, like I mentioned, one play I could have made turn 1 was just double up on a Metagross, but I just can't let Trick Room go up against us, because like we do not have enough bulk to really stall out Trick Room, especially because Amoonguss is not that great under Trick Room when they have a Tapu Fini. So, next game here is a new take on Sun. You know, Torkoal, Venusaur, Charizard, nothing crazy there. Clefairy, Staktaka, and Mimikyu, though, to round out the team. So that's pretty cool. Sun. The thing is that Blaziken's not terrible, but it's also not great. Like, Zapdos Fini here is kind of solid overall, especially because Zapdos gets the boost. We do have Taunt here on Fini as well. If you're my opponent, you have to lead to respect Blaziken, I think, which would involve Charizard. Maybe Charizard Clef, for example. Scarf Landorus actually could be really good here, I think. Yeah, I like that. Just to put on pressure against Charizard immediately, because we have Rock Slide. So then what would I lead? Landorus, Fini, maybe? I don't mind setting up terrain early on. Landorus, Fini. I mean, Fini is just so bad offensively on turn 1, though. So I'm not super excited about leading that. Like, I feel like Landorus, Fini, Zapdos, Blaziken is good in this matchup. I'm just trying to figure out in what order. I like the Landorus lead. They don't have any Intimidate, so maybe it is just Blaziken here. Nah, I'm gonna go Fini. It's the same problem as the last game, right? Where it's like, and the first game too, where my opponent just has a lot. Like, unfortunately, Blaziken being weak to flying, ground, and water does not help it, right? And Psychic, I guess, to an extent, but that typing is not as common. Because, like, water and ground are so common. So I don't feel great about leading it here. If there was no redirection support, maybe I'd be willing to trade. It is Clef Charizard deck. That was kind of what I was expecting, so we'll take it. The question, though, is what do I go for? I think it's a Rock Slide turn 1 with Landorus. I think Clef follow me's, because if you don't follow me, you risk just getting KO'd by a max Rock Fall turn 1, which would be uber bad. But do you one-shot Landorus here? Maybe. Rock Slide Taunt is my safest play. I'm kind of down for that, given that I have Zapdos in the back. Because then I can Dynamax Zapdos, actually, against this team. Muddy Water isn't like, Rock Slide Muddy Water is not KOing Dynamax Charizard with Friend Guard support anyway, right? So it's like, if it did, then I'd consider going for it, but there's no way it does. So, yeah, I think the lead matchup here is really important, and like, if I just led Blaziken Bisharp, that kind of gets dunked on. Oh, they switch out, though, into Venusaur? Or Torkoal? Okay. Right, sorry, I don't know why I said Venusaur. That's actually okay with me, I think. While they get the sun up, I mean, then Muddy Water maybe would have been a little nicer here. Maybe Max Fini was the play? They should Max Airstream here to outspeed Lando the next turn. That's a good play on their end. I think it was slightly risky because I could have just gone Dynamax Landorus Rockfall, which would be really bad for them, especially if I'm AV. Let's see. Okay, we get the Rock Slide off. It's great damage. Take it. Yep, they do correctly Airstream. Good play. On to Tapu Fini. Good play. Ooh, Fini survives, though. Hello. Okay. Fini survives. Then Muddy Water may have been better, because then it's a 2-hit KO, but yeah, I was expecting the switch. This taunt ends up being kind of useless. Okay, they take some solar powered chip. Charizard being as fast as it is may be a problem for us here. May be a problem. I wonder if Muddy Water KOs, though, because I could just Rock Slide Muddy Water here. If you're my opponent, what do you go for? You go for Gmax Wildfire onto Landorus. I can't switch in either of these. Both of these will get wrecked. So I actually think the best play is to just Rock Slide and Muddy Water, because, like, I think Muddy Water plus this Life Orb chip and Solar Power maybe actually KOs Charizard. Okay, Torkoal switches, that's fine. Oh, they're going to Clef. That's a good play. That's a very good play. Oh, but they Max Guard. Okay, well, they just stalled out another turn of their own Dynamax, so I'll take it. Like, Because they're also taking a little bit of extra damage here with the sun, right? And every little bit matters. Because if Charizard goes down, I think then this is a really, really good opportunity for Blaziken to thrive. Okay, we get an accuracy drop here. I mean, you would expect Charizard to be max speed, right? I'd be very surprised if it weren't. But if it weren't, there would be an opportunity here to just outspeed and KO. I could Dynamax this thing, but I think we would still just take so much damage from Charizard, it's not worth it. Especially because I think Blaziken and Zapdos are both good max options here for us in the end game. The question basically remains, does Muddy Water plus Life Orb plus Solar Power KO Charizard here? I don't think so. They go for Helping Hand, okay. It's kind of overkill. I don't think they needed that. But it guarantees the KO on Max Landorus, even if you're AV, I would think. So, yeah. That's their safest play. Totally get that. We're going to lose both Pokemon here, so let's see how much Muddy Water does into the Charizard. Oh no, we missed it, didn't we? Oh, that's really bad. I don't think it would have KO'd, but like I think it would have put it in range where... I actually think it would have KO'd, now that I look at it. Oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. Dang. Okay. However, this isn't over because... I think we actually Dynamax Zapdos here. What I do is Max Zapdos, Airstream. I don't know if it would have KO. I mean, granted, you do have Friend Guard and the Sun up, but I don't know. Like, Charizard's at, what, like, 10%? I would think Muddy Water would... especially because we're Expert Bot, actually. Yeah, I think it would have done enough. But that's the downside of using Muddy Water, so... You hate to see it, but it is what it is. I'm going to Protect here. And then we're going to max the Zapdos instead. And I'm going to go Airstream into Charizard. Yeah. So the thing is that Torkoal in the back is not a problem for us at all. And we still have our Dynamax to play with. Clefairy does not do much, any damage to us here at all. Now, granted, my opponent can just go Helping Hand Heat Wave. That is really, really going to hurt. I think Muddy Water's still the correct play there because Clefairy can obviously go for Follow Me. I'm not KOing with an Ice Beam or a Moonblast. Maybe Ice Beam actually would have done enough. But... yeah, they Helping Hand. I'm hoping they try to snipe down Blaziken here, because I think Blaziken's the more likely one to Dynamax. It's like the bigger offensive threat. But I think Helping Hand Heat Wave makes a ton of sense here to cover for either Pokemon. Oh, wow. Blast Burn. Nice play. That was the one option I did not consider. That will be GG then. But I had no way around that, because I don't have Protect on the Zapdos. So, yeah. I do want to quickly calc the Muddy Water, because... yeah, I just have no idea whether or not it would have KO'd. But we basically needed to do 20% to the Charizard. They had Mimikyu as the last one. So, they probably could have... no, okay, I mean, if the Fini actually gets the KO there, then I actually think we would consider Dynamaxing Fini here in this endgame. Obviously, there's nothing we can do now. They can just set up Trick Room. So, well played. Yeah, I even got the lead that I wanted here. I maybe needed to Muddy Water instead of Taunt. I don't regret taunting the Clefairy, and I think, like, Blast Burn isn't super surprising to see. That's actually a really solid move. So, I just want to know if I, like... because I feel like I played it as well as I could have, too. So, I'm curious if... because if the Fini doesn't even KO Charizard there, then, like, I really have to just change my entire game plan. So, Tapu Fini, Muddy Water... we have Expert Belt. Oh, they misplay Rough. Interesting. Was it correct to have targeted Mimikyu there, then? Maybe. But, I mean, I don't think Blaziken can pull off a 3v1 in this scenario. So, Charizard Dynamaxed in Sun with Friend Guard. Muddy Water there. Would have done... I think it would have done enough. I mean, this is saying 14 to 18%. Oh, but I guess it was... they were at 10%, so like, what, 20% effectively pre-max? Or during Dynamax, so maybe it wouldn't have been enough. Is this Modest Max? It's not. It's 150 special attack. Yeah, so... It would... I don't know if it would have been a guaranteed KO, even if we hit there. Yeah, because it has like 172 special attack EVs, so against Dynamax Charizard and Sun with an ally's Friend Guard, does 15 to 18%. I don't know if it would have been enough there. It would be close. It would definitely be close. Well played by my opponent. I think the switch, the back-to-back switches were really good. Charizard's a pretty big threat to this team. Because I can't go with the Blaziken stuff as I normally want to. Amoonguss is really bad here. I don't know. I feel like I brought the right Pokemon. Maybe it's just, like the turn 1 taunt maybe is kind of useless. But I was expecting just like a follow me. I guess the Torkoal switch makes a lot of sense though. So if I could have played it any differently, the only thing I'd maybe do differently is just go for Muddy Water turn 1 instead. Because then like we just do more damage into Charizard. Other than that, I don't think there are too many other options. It is kind of a shaky matchup, I would say. And if we hit that Muddy Water, I think this would definitely be a different game. But once again, hard to say. I don't know if it would have KO'd us. And this calc is without any bulk too. So if they have any bulk, then they should be surviving that, I actually think. So yeah. And because they had Mimikyu, they had the Trick Room option in the end game as well. So even if we pick up the KO there, what does the scenario end up being? Well, then I have a Dynamax to play with. I don't think they can do enough damage into a Dynamax Zapdos. So I think we'd probably still be fine. Because then if Charizard does go down, it's Clef plus Mimikyu against Charizard Zapdos. And with Charizard Zapdos, I could just double up onto Mimikyu. It forces a follow me. And we have the Misty Seed boost as well. So then I think Zapdos would maybe 3v, like 1v2 in that position. Plus we have Blaziken support as well, but hard to say. Either way, I do think Charizard's kind of a shaky match. I mean, we ran into like all the flying type Pokemon today, which is not exactly super great for Blaziken here. And Charizard specifically matches up super well against a lot of these Pokemon. So I think my opponent really executed the game plan well in the first 2 turns. Like brilliant double switch into Clefairy, back out into the Torkoal. Or sorry, from Clef into Torkoal and then back out. So yeah, I think I guess if I could have played this game differently, I actually would have stuck with the same lead. Because I was expecting the Clef Charizard lead too. So it'd probably be just Rock Slide Muddy Water. I guess actually one possible option is to Dynamax Landorus and just go for Max Rock Fall into Charizard immediately. But like I said, I was expecting my opponent to follow me to cover for that option. So they made kind of a risky play turn 1, but it really paid off for them. So job well done there. Just because I think on their end, it's a good read to not expect me to just Max Rockfall immediately because they have that follow me support. So they were like, I don't think you're going to go for this. This is kind of risky, but it will pay off huge if I call it correctly. And yeah, they called it correctly. So well done. But definitely a fun set of games. Blaziken came out, was able to put in a fair amount of work, and it is a really interesting Pokemon. So looking forward to playing with it a little bit more in tomorrow's episode. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. Thanks as always for watching. Thank you to Alex for the team. And don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed. I'll catch you all next time. All right. Peace.